What's up, Ned? Bro, my legs are still shaking from that video you sent me. It's traumatic. And I broke my leg a few years ago, so I don't know, I have like anything with legs, I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Hate it. Let's get the link to Discord. There's news in 3 minutes. Actually, I forgot ADP is at 1:15. You know, we're just gonna take it as it comes. I'll do a quick breakdown. See if we can get the breakdown done before the news. Okay. 2 minutes to go until news. Let's do a very quick breakdown here. So ADP, you've also got GDP at 1:30. So yeah, couple different folders here today, but we've got ADP. We've seen ADP give pretty big moves lately. They are forecasting lower numbers. So if numbers are coming out even lower than the forecast, then we can expect an easy continuation to the upside here on gold. So going based off the daily, we had a very strong bullish candle closure above 1930, which was a very significant level. Even more specifically, 1932.5, you can just see on the daily all these rejections right here. He formed support there as well. Lots of rejections. So we had a closure above there, above 1932.5. Going based off of today, you had a very slow London session. We've started to move up. But I would actually like to see pullbacks here, and if that news is mixed or if it is better than forecast, then what we could potentially see is pullbacks to said levels 1932, 1935. You got a resistance here on the 4 hour at 1937.5, and then the London area of contention there was 1936.7. So all of those levels, pullbacks to those levels for bars here. If news could give us those pullbacks, you know, we just need to look for rejections in those areas for those bars. And then if news is good, breaking above 1940, you're looking to push to 1945. Let's see what it does. 2 seconds. Probably mixed numbers. When I say mixed, wow, okay. That should be easy bars. So let's scale in here into a 1 minute. Yeah, wait, I really must. It's like 2 weeks delayed. Probably on like 400 pips now. So this should be a pretty easy move to 1945. Now, one way you could approach this on the 1 minute. Alright, this is a very aggressive approach. But if this 1 minute is, obviously it'll close bullish here. Just give me a second. Us is moving super slow here. If we break this previous 1 minute high, what you could look to do is take your bars right there and then stop loss below this 1 minute. So stops are really not bad, but I would still lower risk. You're gonna have like a 14, 15 pip stop. You're expecting quite an easy push to 1945. Okay, you've closed bullish, but same idea, bearish, sorry, on that 1 minute. But same idea. If you do get the break above now, stop loss below. I don't want my stop loss to get much bigger than this. You know, you're wanting to take advantage of the push with the news. So if we're going to pull back to 1940, you'd be better off waiting for price to give you setups. You know, like a support being formed off 1940. So yeah, at this point, then you would rather wait for that pullback, see reactions here of 1940, something like that. So let's chalk those ideas. No trades just yet. Perfect. We can just wait. So the reason I was willing to give that idea a shot, very aggressive, was because look at these numbers. We've been seeing pretty good numbers for ADP as of late. They actually forecasted pretty bad numbers there, and we still came out below the forecast. So I was expecting a little bit more of a push, but we never broke that news candle high. You've pulled back to 1940 here. Could potentially find support and still get that move up, but you have more news in 12 minutes. I don't really want to take anything too crazy on the 1 minute. You know, if we didn't get that push now, then maybe wait for this 5 minute to close. You got COMEX now. If this 5 closes above 1940, I'm expecting COMEX to give you the push to 45. So let's see. Maybe just lower risk here. But if this 1 minute now closes bullish, as you see a previous 1 minute closed bullish there, came back and tapped 1940. So if this candle can close bullish coming into COMEX, we know the 5 minutes closing above 1940, and then you know you can look at something like this. Okay, never mind. Looks like we may close below 1940 there at COMEX, so you just got to be patient. You know, that is still a support being formed on the 5 minute, but look where we closed below. It wasn't just the fact that we closed below this most recent resistance on the 5 minute, but below 1940, which is a very significant level. So at this point, we'll probably just wait for that GDP in 9 minutes. If GDP is also negative, you know, we'll probably see pretty hard pushes to the upside. Forecasting the same as last month. Overall, we're seeing drops in US economic data all around, so I'm expecting that GDP to come out bearish. Bearish for the dollar, so bullish here for gold. But you know, if it is coming out as forecasted or better than expected, and we get one of these pullbacks here, you know, I'm still looking for something like this. That GDP data is going to have to be very good for us to actually be flipping bearish today. So I have no idea for sells just yet. I want to stick to the buys here today. Trade the trend, trade in line with the daily, the 4 hour, Targets for today, you know, with this news, we could even be pushing up to something like 1950, seeing a nice continuation of yesterday's candle. But 1945, 1946 is going to really be the main target here. You can see DXY, the structure has also shifted here. So we had this clean bullish trend forming higher highs, higher lows. You can see as we came up into 104.5 on the DXY, we struggled to create new highs. We had a sell-off yesterday. Yes, we broke below this trend line, but what's more important is we broke below this bullish structure. So we formed a new low. You've had a little bit of a pullback. You formed a lower high. So you formed a new low, a lower high, and looks like we're creating new lows. So dollar definitely shifting more bearish halfway through the week here. If this 5-minute candle closes bullish above 1945, there's 5 minutes until the news, but it's a very solid setup. You know, we could maybe give it a shot with lower risk. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot here. If we break the previous 5-minute high, I'm gonna go half risk. Okay, so I'm in here. Stop loss will be below this area here. Let's call it 1938.4. Now, we actually want to be break even before the news, right? You've got, what, 3 minutes until news? So as we come up into these highs, I'll go break even. I'm not looking to secure, but you know, if you want to get out happy with a few pips there, then do that. But just be aware, there's news. So fasten your seatbelt, yes. Lower your risk. If you went with too much risk, rather just close some as we come into these highs, move the stop loss to break even, and just pray and hope. But at least we're not holding drawdown through news, right? Worst case is trade goes against you and you get slipped and you pay the slippage. But get that stop loss to break even. We've got 3 minutes here. Okay, came into those highs, so I'm moving the stop loss to break even. Not gonna play around here. You might even get taken out with just the spread with the news. But up about 6 pips or so. So definitely move your stop loss to entry here. Three pip TP, 200 pip stop loss. No ways. You know, I could leave my stop where it is, considering I used lower risk. But I would rather just play it safe here. There's 25 seconds. We basically right at entry. Yeah, okay. So break even. Maybe it's a good thing, chat. Oh shit. There it goes. It wasn't worth it. It is. That's tough. But it wasn't worth it. Trust me with news, manage your risk. There's 45 if you're holding, secure some. Smile and wave. Man. That's tough. Long term, you'd burn down in flames. No, 100%. You know, it was a risky idea taking trades like 4 minutes before news, but the setup was there. There was enough volume to get to break even, coming into these highs. You know, it wasn't much range, but 15 pips or so. You know, if we hadn't had this little pullback, you would have been okay. So that's the chance you take, but it could have been way worse. You know, worst case scenario, if you had held, if you were in drawdown here before the news and you held, that would have been the worst thing you could have done. So I would rather just get out, you know. I'm happy with that. There's still a whole session. I must say, it is just quite disappointing. Damn. Negative. So this 45 zone is going to be very tough here. I don't know if we'll get these pullbacks now with all of that negative data. You still have pending home sales at 4. Probably won't be here. But yeah, let's see if we still get some sort of pullback on the new 4-hour. If this 4-hour candle can close above 1945, we should be okay for moves to 1950 potentially. You know, you look at yesterday's candle, you'll notice once gold gets moving to the upside, you can have consecutive days of just really strong bullish moves. For instance, here I know that there was a lot going on at this time, but you know, you can see these consecutive strong bullish candles. While we were coming down, you never really, you know, the downside moves on gold are a little bit choppier. Just looking at the daily candles, it's very tough. Even once you get going, the candles are choppy. But once you start moving to the upside, it really gets moving, you know. Strong daily, and then you get that nice push. So here we may see another strong candle on the daily. With all of that negative data, it's not out of the picture to see another day pushing something like that, possibly even to 1955. 1955 is a very significant level. We've seen a lot of reactions in the past. In the middle of this range, it's basically halfway between this range here. You can see, even though it was in the middle of the range, how well price respected that area. Even here, where we started to finally move to the downside, you had a break below 55, retest, and then you finally got moving. So, you know, that 55 could be the main target for today. So at this point, just going to monitor the lower time frames. I'll probably wait for this 4-hour candle to close. See if the new 4-hour can give you some sort of pullback. But we need to just be very careful of this 45 level. So those are kind of your potential targets for the day. 45, which we've already tapped, 1950 and 1955. I think gold is being kind to us, not really giving a major push here. You know, we could still definitely be in store for one of those pullback ideas as discussed. Possibly a retest of 1940. And then you may see this 4-hour candle leaving a top wick, a nice wick to the upside that we can get filled on the new 4-hour. So if we could see something like that, and then on the 4-hour that may look something like this. If I draw it out here, so if this 4-hour candle could retrace a little bit, close with a body like that, a nice wick to the upside, then the new 4-hour we get that pullback down to 1940 or even lower 1937.5, leave a nice bottom wick, then we're looking at an easy wick fill there. And then if you can break that previous 4-hour high, possibly see a push to 1950. So that's kind of the scenario I want to see for this 4-hour candle if we close below 1945. If we could close above 1945, then it may be even easier to see that push to 1950. The new 4-hour just pull back to 1945, and you're looking at something like that. Cheers, Mr. Ned. SA playing Australia later. Where are they playing? Nice, Hectorino, so you hold. Yeah, you know, if you want to take the risk, since you used lower risk, the stop loss was decent. It's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But for me, it was, even though I used lower risk, it was a riskier trade idea. Would have been a banger, but I'm more pleased that I can still stick around to take another trade at NYC. Farmer Tom says, looks like you guys will get a loss today. I thought you were trolling me about the trading, but I'm assuming you're talking about cricket. Yeah, Wayne, thinking the same thing. That 4-hour wick fill will be solid. You know what will not be great is if the 4-hour candle is closing like right at 1945. Just because it doesn't leave you much range to trade back into 1945, and obviously you're not closing above 1945. So that next 4-hour may be tricky. Kingsmead. Don't know it. In terms of the sells, I don't see sells right now. My weekly analysis was for sells, and we're in a very interesting area to potentially see rejections. You know, we'll see what's going on the lower time frames coming into the new 4-hour, but it's very difficult to see sells with the 4-hour looking the way it's looking, with the daily looking the way it's looking, with the weekly looking the way it's looking. Also, it's the last day of the month, or second last day, and we've had all of this negative data for the dollar. So there's nothing really. I think sells are going to be very risky today. And in my mind, even if you came out slightly good for the dollar with that news, you would have most likely have seen just some pullbacks. So if that news was good for the dollar, you would have maybe seen some pullbacks to maybe even 1932, 1933, and then we would have most probably still had this upside to 1945 by the end of the session. There's just too much momentum to the upside. Would you consider bars on fresh 4-hour candle? That's pretty much what I'm waiting for. Yeah, we'll just see how the candle closes and see what the lower time frame is doing. kind of see the movement that I'm actually looking to kind of replicate today. So we've just broken back into this range basically between 1955 and 1932.5. Now you can see the moves we've had within this range, and then down here again. So I do think that it would make sense to move up to 1955 today, or even 53. 53, we can also see a lot of reactions right there, and just that resistance on the hour. But at the end of the day, 55 is your key level there. You can even see price wicked up into 55 before leaving that area. It's just this 45 is going to obviously be your main area of contention. How about this? Just look at the 4-hour candles here. So right here, this move I highlighted just now on the 4-hour time frame. You can see that we formed support at 35 on that given day. Here, same story. We've already tapped 35. You're moving up really nicely. Okay, so we're seeing that kind of thing start to materialize. But now look at the 4-hour candles here, the actual candles themselves. Look at the wick. Look at the wick on that 4-hour candle that candle left behind. Pretty much what we discussed. You know, wanting to see the new 4-hour, and it's the same time as well. Obviously it is. Obviously it is. You get that continuation on that NYSE 4-hour candle. So this was your 4-hour candle that will be coming to a close now in 10 minutes. And I discussed that I would like to see that top wick for the wick fill. This is just exactly what I want to see. So let's go back and kind of backtest this day if we can. You must have had news on this day as well. This was a CPR. I'm sure this was a CPR. Almost convinced. I think I caught this trade, to be honest. Okay, so we had this high from the day right here at 1941, and then your 4-hour candle closed here at 1943. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna lose my place. Patience, chat. Teaching you guys patience here. Yeah, this was a CPI. I remember this was so clean on the 5 minutes. This was so clean. Okay, so we know that 41 was your daily high, basically, formed earlier in the day. And then you had the break above with the CPI news you pushed. And then this pullback here left that wick on the 4-hour candle. New 4-hour. Look at that, we tapped into the daily high from earlier on. You formed a support, you had a very nice rejection candle. That was more than enough of a confluence there for you to start looking for those bars. And then, I mean, all you really need is the wick fill on the 4-hour. And then anything beyond that is just runners. So let's see if we can see something similar to that today. I think first thing we need to do is go find out where the daily high was. It's a little bit tricky. So we had this high formed Tuesday. Okay, before the news, this was your high that was at 1938.8. I think let's just mark that up as a zone where we could see price come back into. So this gray zone is going to be an area where we could start to scale in and look for quite aggressive entries, all while keeping the stop loss very small and having a very good risk to reward there. You know, we would be looking at something like that if we got those pullbacks to 1938, let's call it. I don't think this 4-hour candle is going to leave us with much of a bottom wick, which is fine. You know, we can still get that kind of pullback on the new 4-hour to form the new 4-hour bottom wick. And then you know that if you're forming support here around 1940 or 1938, this zone at NYC on a 5 minute, or maybe you get something like this where you come into the zone and then you have a break back above 1940, something like that after NYC on the 5 minutes. That will be perfect. But I don't want to bargain for such deep pullbacks. You know, we may also be looking at entries around this 45 level. If we close above 1945, you could most certainly look for some entries here off 1945, looking to push to 1950. But that is a slightly more aggressive entry. We're moving up very gradually. I would expect the new 4-hour to give you that bottom wick. Our friend at it again. I don't have no friends. What did he do? Leave it. Oh God. I have no comment. I hope it works out. 2 days in a row is gonna be tough. It's gonna hurt. But I could definitely see, us coming down here on the new 4 hour. So I'm sure he can get his few pips there. He closed above 45. You know, so if you were to be in sales, you probably wouldn't want to hold. You wouldn't want to bet on this new 4 hour creating a bottom wick. You don't have a top wick. Previous 4 hours, very bullish. There's no reason to take sales here. That's what I'm saying. It's very risky. Very, very risky. Not that it can't play out. There's always a probability. You know, in trading, that's the thing. Like, you'll say something like, "Don't take sales. It's a bad idea," right? And then someone will say, "But I'm taking sales," and whatever. Maybe it plays out for them. There was always that probability, and they could say, "Man, I was right." But that doesn't matter. The idea is to put the probabilities in your favor. Over the long run, do you not want to give yourself the best probability for success? That's all I'll say. And I'm not hating on anyone. I'm just saying people need to be careful who they follow. And they need to think for themselves. See what works for you. I do see price coming down to 1940. Right, but yesterday what I did was, with my analysis, I was looking for the sells, and I ended up taking the buys on what I thought would be a pullback. So let's just compare what happened yesterday and today. So I took these buys here because I knew there was enough confluence for me to have a high enough probability to at least get to 1920 and manage my position before news, and then, you know, just see what happens. So I was kind of counter trending this move. was counter trending this downside move from earlier in the session. Now today, why you don't want to do that is because you have absolutely no reason to do that. So today you don't want to be counter trending this move here. Right? Because look at all of your time frames. Look at the news. Everything is pointing bullish. So you don't want to counter trend this bullish move. In this situation, you would be better off waiting for that pullback to see those bars set up. So you may think this sell is the same idea as yesterday's bars, but it's absolutely not. There was confluence on the daily. There's confluence on the weekly. Right now, if you're taking sells, you're just trading against everything. Everything. It's crazy. It's madness. I don't know. Like I say, there's a probability, right? But it's low. True, Connor, for some reason I keep coming back to you. That's sweet, Tom. I must get in touch on Discord. Now that you're back in the game. Not sure if my strategy is correct. We'll take up to 3 trades per day at 5% risk. If I lose 2, stop. There's no right or wrong. But I think that the parameters you've set out for yourself are good. If you follow that, you would have to go on a historically long losing streak to actually blow up. You're limiting the amount of trades you take, and if you can stick to that, you avoid over trading, and you're limiting how much you're risking. So if you're sticking within your rules, you are avoiding 2 deadly sins, which is over trading and over risking. So I think that that's perfect. But like I say, there's no right or wrong. I like what you're doing. What's up, Reese? Took gold sells at 19.20 yesterday after a 30-minute close below range. Can you check this trade for me? 19.20. There was quite a nice move down earlier in that session. Yeah. Looks good to me. You know, overall this was quite an ugly range, but the fact that you were rejecting, you could see you had a lot of volume to the downside here, and then I'm assuming once you had this closure below this support here, I'm not sure where you got in, but you know, it played out nicely. You were taking advantage of that volume. I was looking for the pullbacks to see the continuation of those sells, but somehow ended up in the bars and they were really nice. But nothing wrong with that. As long as you managed it before the news, right? And took your profits. Yeah, I'm good, Reese. Thank you, bro. How you doing? How's the golf going? Yo, US 34 hour looks clean. Yeah, nice. Pushing nicely there. I'm scared of I'm scared of US indices around NYC. I won't lie. When I used to trade indices, I would trade them after London close, basically. So a little bit less volatile, some cleaner moves. But now I just keep an eye on them for also just building confluence. You know, I look mainly at the DXY to get an understanding of what the dollar is doing. But at times, US 30 is impacted in a very similar way as gold is impacted with regards to monetary policy. So if the Fed is hawkish, we'll see stock markets sell off. We'll see a stronger dollar. We'll see gold sell off. So I like to keep US 30 in my watch list, but it's not something that I trade. See that previous news candle, previous 30-minute had no bottom wick. You know, you could potentially now come and get that bottom wick for that candle. You know, maybe we just tap into 1940, see a rejection there. Maybe we come into this gray zone around 1938. We'll just see. But you don't necessarily need to see price pull back all that way. You've got some minor structure here on the 5-minute. You know, if you respect this level, form support here, you would just be ranging on the 5-minute. And then you would want to see a break above here, a break above this resistance for the bars. So, you know, at this point, we could probably see something like that. If we don't get that deeper pullback, then I would be looking for something like that. And this is why you don't really want to be taking sells right now. This could potentially be the bottom wick for the 4-hour. You don't know how deep it will pull back. Like I say, we closed above 45 here. So this is where you could look for entries above 45. That new 15-minute is going to be interesting. I'm thinking... Yeah, let's wait and see. Give me 2 minutes, guys. I've been drinking a lot of water. I mean, something I don't really look at a whole lot is, guys will use a fib. Some guys will hate it, some guys will love it. I've got no problem with anything. But something that is interesting, you'll often see price pull back about 50% of whatever move you're looking at. So if you look at that news candle, we had a pullback of about 50% there. So this impulsive move up, you moved up about 50 pips. You pulled back exactly to that 50%, found support. Just very interesting. So now that the 5-minute has closed bullish, respecting this zone, we could potentially see that continuation. The issue is your 15-minute still closed bearish. More, I know it's bearish, but I would say that that's more of a bullish candle than a bearish candle. That's definitely not giving you major confirmations for sells. You didn't close engulfing the previous 15. You've also got no top wick. So if this next 5 could close above 1945, you could look at potentially something at that point. Or even something like this on the 1 minute. But I think you need to get above 45 here at this point to look at something like this. I'm not saying for sure that that's the bottom wick for the hour and the 4-hour. NYSE could still give you deeper pullbacks to 1940. So you don't want to be too hasty. You don't want to be too hasty with the buys here. Everything looks good. You just need to be patient and wait for a good setup. But if you pull the trigger too soon, you may end up regretting it, and you'll see the move up later, and you'll just kick yourself. So rather be patient. Recent, I'm having a fat chat here. Yeah, I do use a copy trader, Reese. This setup here on the 5 minute where you have a bullish candle and then a weak bearish candle, I call this a biltong. It's not the cleanest biltong, but often I see when you form a support, so this bullish 5 minute and then the next candle is a weak bearish 5 minute. If you break those that weak bearish candles high, you know that's a solid idea. So the issue is you've closed below 1945 still. So I would have liked to have seen the 5 closing above 1945. That would have definitely been safer. But since this is my setup, and for the entries here, my entries would be above 45, I'm thinking to give this a shot. It may still be best to wait for a closure above 45, but I'm going to give it a shot. You've got a really decent stop here. We can have a safer stop of like 25 pips. And yeah, I'm going to take these bars right here as we break above those candle highs. Actually, just hold on, chat. Hold on. Let's see a 1 minute candle close above here at least. I know that's not much, but just gotta be very careful at this 45 level. Gotta be very careful. Okay. There it is. We've closed above on the 1 minute. If we break that previous 1 minute high, I'm gonna get in. Okay. I'm in here. You know, I scaled into the 1 minute. Like I said, I just want to be careful around this zone. But the idea was breaking the previous 5 minute highs right here at 45. And then stop loss below the structure. Let's call it 1942.7. So with only 6-7 minutes until NYC, you know, we want to see a bit of a push here before NYC. If we're not getting that push, we're not breaking these highs before NYC, then you want to be careful at that point. So let's see what happens here. Main TP for the day 1955. Also keep in mind we do want to see this 5 minute closing above 45. Still will close bullish. Closed right at 45. Let's see. 5 minutes until NYC. Like I say, we ideally would like to see a bit of a push before NYC. not risking any sort of pullback. But we've already had a decent pullback after the news. We are very bullish, so you don't need massive pullbacks here. Depends what company you use, Mateo, and also what kind of account you use. Looking good. So I really wanted to see these highs being broken before NYC. We've just broken above, but you need to just monitor now that we can hold above that area. If we can close above this 45.8 at NYC, then we shouldn't need much of a pullback. But yeah, as long as we're closing well above 45, NYC can still give you a bottom wick to 45. But I wouldn't expect too much of a bottom wick. We've got a decent wick here on this 30-minute candle. Extremely bullish. Nice structure on the 5-minute. Worst case scenario, we close back below 45 in the next 2 minutes, and then I would close 50% of my position. But we look okay here. Wayne, are you still in the chat? Where's your friend got his TP? I mean his stop loss. That's how I know where I'll set my TP. Is that his stop loss? Are you serious? Chat, we are on it today. Perfect analysis. Lock it in, boys. TP incoming. Break even point. Normally I would go break even at my TP1. So I haven't marked it up as a break even point because I may go break even before. So I'm going to be fluid with the break even. There you've got NYSE. We did close above those news highs. So like I said, at that point, I wouldn't expect us to really need much of a pullback, but you could still get a bottom wick for the new 30 coming down to 1945. But let's see if NYC Open can just give you that straight push. 30-minute candle looks really nice. 15 looks solid. I mean, that setup on the 15 is just, it's class. Class. Once you get above these rejections, there you go. Yeah, these little wicks here were worrying me a little bit, but there we've broken above. Need to just be careful in that zone around 1947. You could even push to like 1947.5 and then see a little bit of a pullback. So push up to 1947 or 47.5, then see that pullback to 45. Just need to be careful how hard we reject that area. I don't like the 1 minute, but it's not terrible for now. If we come back to entries very aggressively, you know, maybe close 50%. Entries are right at 45, like I say. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a tap into 45 at NYC Open and then continue to drive up. If you're closing below 45, definitely manage your position. Coming back to entries quite aggressively. Yeah, let's just see how the 5 closes. Just be patient with it. It looks like that was maybe your tap of 45 for the bottom wick there for NYC. Didn't quite tap 45, but the idea was there. Nice reaction. Once you break these highs again, we'll see that 50. So once you break above 45 here, we'll see that 50 quite easily. Or should I say there's a high probability. Very high probability. If we break above 47, then we should push to 50. Also now this is almost a little bit of structure on the 1 minute, formed right at entries here. So if you do come back to entries, if you break below this 1 minute structure, which happens to sit right at the entry, close out some. Yeah, the next 5 minutes gonna do some damage here. I know NYC, the first 5 minutes sometimes can be a little bit tricky. But if it's giving you confirmations of any sort for whatever direction price is moving in that day, for instance, bullish today, you know, we can see we closed bullish here, more of a doji, but you're still respecting this resistance. You're above this resistance. You got to tap into 45. Now, if you break that high, NYC volume should take you to 50. Come on, gold. Like I say, it's a probabilities game. If you break that high and then you're coming back down, breaking the previous 5-minute low, you do want to manage your position at that point. But we should be okay. I think you didn't have a bottom wick on that 5-minute, so it just looked like it wanted to create that bottom wick, and then we can get that push. Or maybe this 47 is a brick wall. He did reject 47 quite hard to the left. But with all the confidence for buys, you know, I'm not overly concerned about that level. But right now it is in question, so just going to keep monitoring the lower time frames. Yeah, I think if we come back to entries here, I may even close full. Let's give it a second. Didn't quite tap 45, so I think what I'll do is I'll have my stop loss, let's say 10 pips below that key level at 45. So let's call it 44. Don't need much more of a stop loss than that at this point. Or if you want, maybe just below this 1 minute structure here at like 43.4. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Bring the stop loss in a little bit. So I got my stop loss at 43.4. 15, 16 pips below that 45. But it looks like you just tapped 45. Let's see, are we gonna respect it? Looks like a rejection candle on the 1 minute. We want this next 1 minute to close bullish to give us confirmation that we are going to drive away from 45. Stop loss is actually below the previous 15 now, if you look at that. So that makes a lot of sense as well. So starting to push away from 45. Not really giving the nicest move yet at NYC, but as long as we hold above 45, should be alright. But yeah, this 47 is posing some issues. If this 5 minute closes below 45, I will close full. So just keep an eye on that. You've got 14 seconds. If you close below 1945, I will close full. Will close my full position. Ah, you've closed no bottom wick. That makes it very tough. That makes it super tough. But that's not a nice candle on the 5 minute, I won't lie. I haven't closed out just because of that no bottom wick story, but I'm going to close 50%. So closed 50% of my position, negative like 6-7 pips. You know, I can always add that back if we do break back above 45, but just keeping the loss small here because this NYC didn't really set up the way I wanted to. That 47 became a bit of an issue. Like I say, still chances to add back this position, so rather just manage your risk since price is going against us here. The 5 minute wasn't great, you closed no bottom wick. It's a bit of a tough one, but rather just manage the risk. Yeah, looks like we may hit stops here. I think I could have managed this more aggressively, to be honest. Definitely, but closed out off there with that closer back below 45. So managed the risk. Stops are, you know, also moved in. But I could have probably actually just closed full as we close below 45. You know, if we are still to drive up to 1950 today, price will give you a setup. Still respecting the previous 15-minute lows. You've got 2 minutes left of this 15-minute candle. So yeah, if you're closing bearish and you haven't hit stops, rather just close. Cheers, Tomo. Take you tomorrow. Cheers, Mateo. Nice, well managed. Yeah, I didn't realize how much we pushed into profit there either. Definitely could have managed a bit better. Don't really want to be going into drawdown after sitting in 20 pips of profit. But yeah, overall still very well managed. Showing you guys how to keep the losses small. Over the long run, it's going to be crucial. Keep your losses small, and then the upside will take care of itself. Okay, your 15-minute closed pretty ugly, I won't lie. And we closed below 45, which doesn't look great. Your 5 minute, however, closed more of a rejection. It's tough. It's tough. Still below 45. 1 minute formed a little bit of a support here. You respected the previous 15-minute low. This could have been your pullback at NYC. It just doesn't look so pretty. So this 5 minute closing bullish back above 45 is going to be my signal to add back that half a position that I took off. I don't know if it will give that opportunity to add back. I don't mind not adding back. It is what it is. I'll take what price gives me. I think at this point I probably won't be adding. I won't be adding back that position I took off. I managed my risk in negative 6-7 pips to keep the loss small, right? And I thought about adding back that position if it started to go back in my favor. It is now, but I don't think it's worth it to be adding back on. It's just tough. It's tough. The thing is, you've also got news in 15 minutes. Not really high impact pending home sales, but just something to be mindful of. And then the thing is, if I'm adding to this position, where am I going to add? I would have liked this 5 minute to have closed just above 45, so I could have added, in and around my initial entry, something like this, and had a nice small stop. But your ideas for adding back now look more like breakouts above 47, and then you're looking at a much bigger stop, which almost doesn't really make sense. 30-40 pips, no, leave it alone. I'll take what I can get. If you close a little bit in a loss, you should be overall back in a profit. So not bad. But yeah, once we break those highs at 47 now, I think that 50 is imminent. Then again, if you reject 47 again, just be careful. Oh, fuck, Emil, you jinxed it. Chat, no W's. No W's. No, I'm raving. It's gonna be a dub. Don't stress. Gold is just testing your patience, everybody. It's testing how big your balls are. Yeah, surely as we break those NYC highs now. Surely. Mid. Come on. What you can do that will make sense is move the stop loss to below this 5-minute candle. I know it hasn't closed just yet, but it's a very strong bullish candle. You don't necessarily need to see the low of this candle being broken. So I'm going to move this position over just so that we can actually visualize that a little bit better and it doesn't look like I hit stops. So something like this. Let's call it 1944, right? 10 pips below that 45 level. You don't need much more of a stop than that. So risking about 10 pips in here for a possible, about 100 pips. And that's why I don't mind not adding back to this position. Yeah, 12 pip stop for 98 pip TP. I mean, come on. Chat. Hectorino. That dude is crazy. Oh. I'm gonna just do my thing. I won't be influenced by anybody else's trade. I got my TP at their stop loss. It is what it is. It's no disrespect. It's just that's the game we play. As we break that bullish 5-minute high, you're not really wanting to see major pullbacks now. I think we've grabbed enough liquidity at NYC. These are the times where you get clean one-sided moves on gold. So if we're gonna get that clean move to 50, we don't need to see price coming back again. And therefore, I'm going to move my stop loss to break even. I don't need to wait any longer to go break even. That's why I said with the break even point, today I would rather just be adaptive. For a situation like that, where we started to form some structure, where we get this bullish candle on the 5, break the highs. Now I'm not anticipating price to come back, so I'm happy to go break even here. I mean, we are sitting up 20, 25 pips or so. So nothing wrong with that. I'm in with a half a position, so I'm just gonna hold off from closing anything out here. But if you are up, this 47 is quite a tough area. Maybe you want to close out partials here and leave runners to 1955, 1953. But I'm looking to hold this. Like I said, I've got only half a position here, so I'm gonna push it today, see if I can get to 1950. But I will also just listen to what price is telling me. So if I'm seeing rejections on a 1 minute or closing back below 47, then I will secure some. Also, that news in 7 minutes could give you a pullback, could take you out. So nothing wrong with securing some, but we are breaking these highs. I'm expecting volume here. I'm expecting volume to the upside. So I'm holding off for now. Let's go gold. So 1947 is that level that I want price to respect. Your 5 minute just closed nice and bullish there. we do want to see this previous 5-minute low being respected. You know what? Let's see what this 1 minute does. Because your previous 1 minute formed a support there. So if we are breaking that like minus support, it's just showing that we don't have the volume to push, right? Okay, so yeah, here I'm gonna close out some. I'm gonna take a little bit off. Because we got that news coming up in 4 minutes, so I'm gonna take some off. So I got out there at 47.09. About 18 pips. About 18 pips. I'm just gonna let it run. So reasons for closing is news in 4 minutes. Anything can happen. And yeah, it looks like we were just struggling there a little bit. So, you know, up about 20 pips. Why not just secure a little bit? I closed a little bit out in the loss, minor loss just now. So covered that. And then this is just a completely risk-free runner. Personally, I'll probably leave the rest of this position to 1953 or 1955. I don't think I'll take any off at 1950 unless we're seeing rejections. So listen to what price tells you. Don't be greedy. But yeah, based on my analysis, I'm set on price coming up to 1953 or 1950. I will just keep an eye on price action as we come into 1950. If price is telling me that we're looking like we're rejecting 1950, then I'll close full. But another risk-free runner. We did it again, chat. Another day, another dollar. Trading the trend. Bro, imagine adding 2 cells right now. Someone say gold guy. Actually, do you follow me on Instagram? I must follow you back. You're a long time sub. Always active in the chat. But I don't think your name is Hectorino on IG. Mate, that's what I'm talking about. I don't think that news will have a major impact, but I think if anything, that news is probably going to be negative for the dollar anyway. So might even give you that push to 1950. But anything can happen. Move stop loss to entry, so you are risking absolutely nothing. Worst case scenario, there is a big impact. Price comes down heavy and you get slipped a little bit. But you should have closed out some and got your stop loss at your entry, so you should be pretty safe at this point in time. Oh, hectic. Yeah, so you had pretty good numbers. Decent numbers. I don't think this is going to be enough to really slow down this bullish move on gold, but it could give you pullbacks to, let's say, like 1945. You know, so I'd rather just take the break even at that point. It may also just take away this bullish volume and then you range for the rest of the session. So don't expect sell-offs now because you've had good housing numbers, good pending home sales. That's not the case. If anything, it gives you a little bit of a liquidity grab and we continue to drive up. Or we just range for the rest of the session. And if you're in sales, if you came here from someone else's stream and you're in sales, close your sales. I'll never tell you what to do with your money or your trading account, but close your sales. Don't think that that news is going to change the picture for gold today. Gold is overall bullish. If you are selling or you're holding and hoping just because those numbers are slightly good for the dollar, you're gonna cry. Just close your sales. Sorry, I'm trying to look at your display picture. I don't, to be honest. It's probably been a while, bro. It's sad that new traders are learning the wrong way with big negative RR. That's the only reason I get upset. That is the only reason I get upset. But I don't want to go on and on about it and for someone to think that there's a personal issue. I just don't think that that's a good way to learn for a beginner. I think it's sending the wrong message. A win rate doesn't really mean much. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, so you're getting a deeper pullback here with news. We'll probably get taken out at break even. So overall, you know, that's possibly going to be just like a break even day for me. But like I say, the outlook doesn't really change too much for gold. Chances are, I think there's a probability here that we just range. Maybe you do now get the pullback to 1940, but that's very risky. Look at the 4-hour. Look at the daily. You don't want to be counter trending these higher time frames. You don't. So yeah, I'm out there, break even. You know, let's see. I'm done for the day. I won't be taking any more trades. But let's just see what happens here. Let's see how you respect 45. Because like I say, that news, chances are it's just going to give you a pullback to set up for the continuation to the upside. Or you just range. You know, I think those are higher probabilities here. I think betting on seeing like an aggressive downside move is just not ideal. And even if you do come down, you're probably just setting up for these bars. So just be careful. Still in on the trade. Nice, just be careful if price is breaking below 45. But you look like you are holding this little resistance from earlier on. Came just shy of 45 there. But nice reaction. I mean, if this 5 is forming support, next 5 breaks the highs, you'll most probably get that push to 50. Cheers, Emil. Mid, lovely, lovely. How long you been trading? Been on here for an hour and 45 minutes. Hour and 55 minutes. Been trading 4 years. Not very long. Still learning. What now, Mateo? Cheers, bro. Yeah, you smashed those bars. She. Lovely, Mateo. Nice. Good luck to those incels. Yeah, just be careful. We've been seeing some nice moves later in the sessions. You know, we had this move up from news, and you kind of haven't really had a continuation yet. You've just been sort of ranging. So look at the 15 minutes. You know, you ranged a little bit, and then you had the strong 15-minute closing bullish. I think with that bullish closure, there's a high probability you still push up to 1950. Let's see the 30-minute candle also looks very nice. Hour candle also very nice. Hour candle also closing above closed above these rejections here. 5-minute closed a very weak bullish candle, so you know this price action is pretty ugly. ugly. I want to see what happens when you tap 45 though, if you get that nice reaction. You know what, chat? I'm thinking to just half risk it and give it one more shot. Half risk it. So as we break above the previous 5-minute high here, I'm gonna go in with half risk and give this idea one more shot. I'll also be quite aggressive with my risk management. So it's gonna look like this. Stop loss below 45 here, let's say 1945.7. Lower your risk. It is a little bit choppy, but like I say, we often see that continuation later in the session. Okay, here on my broker, we broke above the previous 5-minute high, so I've entered right there. Stop loss at 1944.7. And then we're looking for that push to 50, but TP will be at 1955. So I was willing to give it another shot. Hate to say I'm done and then, you know, take another trade, but overall, sitting like break even for the day. I don't mind lowering my risk and giving it one more try. Since we're still respecting 45, you can see the structure, we essentially are quite messy, but you just had that pullback with the news as discussed. We're respecting 45 as discussed. There's nothing else in front of us now that could potentially bring obstacles. You know, that's why you generally get cleaner moves after NYSE, or that's at least why I believe you get cleaner moves later in the session, because there's no more obstacles. There's no COMEX in front of you. There's no news. After NYSE, it's plain sailing. So obviously we had the news at 4. That's out of the way. Should be plain sailing now. TP1 and break even will be at 1950. What I don't like is that we've tapped into these highs and sort of rejected there. You kind of want to see us break above these highs, of course. Your 15-minute candle is about to close. We grabbed some nice liquidity on that 15. Obviously with the news, if we close bullish on this 15, we look perfect here. $15-minute candle closed bullish. 5 closed bullish above this minor resistance here. So the new 15 can wick into that minor resistance or even 47 before driving up here. If we break the highs now, I'll move my stop loss to break even, because like I say, the new 15-minute candle can wick back into this resistance. So they've already tapped into that resistance. So if you go and break the highs now, you know, you're anticipating that that's the bottom wick for the 15. You don't want that low to be broken, and our entry is just below that low. So I would just go break even. Solid. Once we break the previous 15-minute highs, I think this is the last time I have to say it, but I think you'll see 1950 quite easily. I know I've said that a few times, but that 1950 is a very high probability level to come into for this session. With this bullish volume, the fact that we're holding above 45, which was a very significant level, we often see gold then move to the next psychological level, which in this case would be 50, which is a very nice number. And I'm sure gold would love to give it a kiss today. Still a decent RR. Haven't quite broken those highs. Just tapping into them. Okay, there we go. We should get that push now. There we go. Push, push, push. Would have been ideal to see that 1 minute closing a stronger bullish candle above these highs. You know, the fact that we've closed back below now makes it very tough. But like I say, you know what? We broke the previous 15-minute highs. I'm going to move my stop loss to break even. So that is below the current 15-minute low. Or you could just put it below this 1 minute low right here. It's like just a little bit lower than my entry. Call it 1947.3. So I got like a 1 pip stop for what, like an 80 pip TP. That's okay. Probably just let this run. You know, you could keep your stop loss below structure and get away with it. So where it initially was, or below this structure here, and get away with it and leave it to run, and you may be okay for the session. But I don't like to really hold trades too long or too late. So what I'm seeing right now is, you know, we broke these highs. You're not getting the push, and I mean 1950s right here. You should, if there were enough volume, get a nice easy push to 1950. But we saw that news coming out negative, and oh sorry, not negative, but more bearish for gold. It was good for the dollar, so more bearish for gold. Like I say, that doesn't mean that gold will sell off, but it may sort of neutralize the bullish pressure. You may range for the rest of the session. So far it's looking like the other scenario where it gives you the pullback and we see the bullish continuation. But right now, the fact that we've broken those highs makes me question if the volume is there. And at that point, I may want to rather just be out, because I don't want to go sit through drawdown now. I gave this trade one last shot. That's pretty much my bullets for the day. So it is what it is. If it hits break even now, I don't really want to be in the market. There's just not enough volume here. So there, I'm out. Break even. Basically break even. Pretty much a break even day. But I mean, overall pretty tough here, unless you had anything before the news, right? Which we did. Got stopped out by like 1 pip. Mad. That was the trade. That was the trade, man. Anyway, gold didn't want us to win today, but we didn't lose. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you everybody for joining today. Pretty tricky day after that push with the news, you know, very unfortunate. We were stopped out by like 2 pips. But it is what it is. Survived this nonsense. Was patient enough for setups to come. Tried our luck, but pretty tough. Not really getting that nice push and continuation. Is what it is. We've got NFP on Friday. I actually forgot about that. So yeah, I was just trying to take advantage of the ADP and GDP today. It wasn't anything too great, right? I think NFP will pop off for us. So tomorrow we'll take it easy. I don't think there's any major fundamentals tomorrow. Core PCE this week is stacked. It's the last day of the month though. That core PCE could be big. Normally I don't see it having a major impact. Unemployment claims have unemployment claims every week. I may not stream tomorrow, just because I think that there's a higher probability that we range before NFP. Unless core PCE is way off our forecast, I'm not expecting anything major. Same for unemployment claims, unless it's way off our forecast and out of this general range that you've been seeing between, let's say, 220 and 250k, you'll probably just range before NFP. Or maybe last day of the month something crazy happens, but probably just going to be a freaky Thursday, so might just save the bullets there for Friday. Overall, still riding on the win from yesterday. I don't need too much more, so I think I might just wait for NFP. But I'll let you guys know. Might see you tomorrow, might see you for